Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on crypto for GrowMyBag.tv, and there's a ton going on a Monday morning. Now, what do we have going on first? So it looks like Sam Bankman-Fried is looking to cooperate with the class action lawsuit that the FTX creditors have against certain entities. Let's name a few: Tom Brady, Katy Perry, Shaquille O'Neal, the law firm Sullivan and Cromwell. That's just a few of the companies or entities that is expected that Sam Bankman-Fried is going to turn rat on. So that's going to be very interesting, because what they're saying is that certain influencers, Shaq, like Tom Brady, Katy Perry, certain influencers force people to get involved with FTX, or, did something like that and they influenced them, whatever. It's interesting to me because they're paid spokespeople, well-paid spokespeople, but spokespeople nonetheless. So you're paying them because they have followers, because of this, because of that, and you're buying their endorsement in certain cases, right? So I can understand the case, but then did they actually do anything wrong? Like, they would had to have been in the know, in my opinion, because I'm not an attorney or anything else like that, which is why it's a court case. But in my opinion, they would had to have been in the know that FTX was bogus, right? Or FTX was doing something illegal. If they were not in the know, then how is there a lawsuit against them? And I wonder about that, because it seems like, you can be sued for things like for not knowing something and something happens. And that's a little strange to me, a little strange. Then you have this report by Bybit. Actually, you know what? Let's return to that for a second. There was a well-known law firm that's also said to be involved in that whole thing, Sullivan and Cromwell. And what's their involvement? Like, how far? You know what I mean? Like, how far did it go? And, is that just it? You know what I mean? Like, is that all that's going on in that space? Like, is there anybody else? He was on Capitol Hill for a long time giving away money. So what's going on there? Is he going to spill the beans on certain people that are sitting in office? Because that would be a big deal, right? I haven't heard any names bantied about with regard to that. So I'm keeping an eye on it, not because of Sam Bankman-Fried, but because of the impact, the further impact of the FTX debacle. And depending on what happens, that can make a mess of things. Something else we should be paying attention to is there's going to be another sale by FTX of Solana. Now, pay attention to the headlines. Some of these headlines are like, oh, they're going to sell Solana. Okay, great. They're going to sell Solana. The way they've been selling Solana, at first I thought they were just going to do it open market, which is why I was like, whoa, they're going to sell Solana. That's a lot of money. But they're not. They're basically over, OTC transactions, which means that it's not going to have any effect at all on the price of Solana, good or bad, right? So now that I think about it, I'm kind of like, well, all right, cool. So all of that will get absorbed. And I don't know if you've noticed, but when Solana went down, Solana had that network issue. They dropped all the way down to $131. $131. Actually, they had dropped down to 128. Because I remember being upset that I couldn't buy more at 128. And I got it at 131. So when I stop and I look at everything, I'm kind of like, oof. Okay, so more is going to come on the market, but they're coming on the market on the other side. And Solana's already starting to make up for the losses because of the network issues. I'm expecting Solana to keep it moving upwardly, by the way, upwardly. So I'm going to be paying attention to that. Now, the idea that, the whole market is 2.5 trillion. Okay. All right. What do I think it's going to be next year? The whole market? Yeesh. You're talking about something that could probably be around somewhere between 5 and 10 trillion. I'm kind of with Brad Garlinghouse in that regard, where I think it's going to grow, a lot. So let's get into it, right? if I'm looking at, that kind of growth, we saw Bitcoin transaction fees spike after the halving event. Well, just previous and during the halving event, and then it came down. And a lot of that traffic was from Runes. So Runes spiked and then came down. Cool. So I'm expecting fees to be, maintained pretty much where they are. However, just remember that miners are going to be making half as much money as they did before, because it's a lot more difficult to actually mine Bitcoin and all the other good stuff. And something else that I'm paying attention to is the amount of traffic. Runes, ordinals, BRC20, that's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of traffic, and I'm just wondering how that long-term effect is going to be on Bitcoin fees. The same can be said for other fees like Solana. What kind of traffic and congestion are they going to get? Now, the fix that they put in, part of it was we're going to give priority to real transactions, meaning meme coin transactions that aren't really doing anything. They'll still happen, but they're going to be given less priority versus other transactions. Okay. I'd like to see how that works out. I don't know how that works, how they're determining what's prioritized and what's not, but we'll see. So far, it's been working out. But meme coin traffic across all of the platforms, all of the projects have been very heavy, right? Look at Base. Base is suffering from not just, traffic, but they're also suffering from security issues from the coins that are on that platform. So I think about that. And then I want to see what's going on with OKX's, X layer. Why? Because it's the same thing as Base, not really issuing a coin, just providing the protocol upon which meme coins can rely. I don't know. So I'm wondering about that as well. I'm just wondering about the additional traffic from nothingness, right? Meme coins don't do anything. It's just people trading meme coins back and forth, as opposed to, I want to go to the store and I want to buy something and I want to pay with this. That traffic's got to pick up. Adoption's got to pick up, and it's going to. The more infrastructure I see being built out, the more I believe adoption is coming and coming and coming and coming, right? In Europe, adoption is there. In Asia, adoption is there. I mean, it still needs to grow, but you can walk into a store in certain countries and buy a cup of coffee and a croissant using crypto. It's kind of a big deal. Now, Grayscale is funny. Now, we all know that Grayscale has been hemorrhaging money from it, from GBTC. Got it. One of the reasons why, they have a 1.5% fee. They're looking to do a mini ETF with lower fees. I think it's like 0.15, right? And maybe even 0.1. We'll see. But shouldn't they have done that to begin with? Shouldn't they have lowered fees to begin with? Just wondering, because everybody else came out with low fees. I don't know if those fees are going to remain after 6 months, but everybody came out with lower fees. So why should I be over there with high fees when I can go over here with lower fees? Is the main idea, right? Because if you look at the outflows from GPTC, and you look at the inflows of others, they kind of correlate. So just looking at that and just saying to myself, yeah, this is why if I can buy the coin myself, why would I let somebody else, manage that for me? What is there to manage? You buy the coin, you let it sit in your wallet. What's the difference between you letting it sit in your non-custodial wallet and letting it sit with them? Except one thing, when it's with them, it's not your coin. Right? Just remember that. If you have somebody managing it, or if you have it on a centralized exchange, not your keys, not your crypto. They're basically saying, well, we've earmarked you for the equivalent of this much of crypto, of Bitcoin in that case. So it's not really yours. But I can go out, I can buy crypto. So if I can buy this share for 30 some odd dollars, 40, 50 some odd dollars, I can take that same 30, 40, 50 some odd dollars and buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. Same effect, except over time I'm spending less money, right? Because they're going to collect that fee no matter what. But over here, up or down, there are no additional fees. I pay my initial fee to buy it. I'm done. It's just sitting there. Just saying. Just saying. If I'm the average person, I'm going to learn how to, one, trade. Two, I'm going to learn what it means between custodial, non-custodial, right? And I'm going to figure out what are the best custodial wallets or non-custodial wallets for what I want to have, right? And then, of course, I'm going to learn how to transfer or send and buy coin. Even then, at that moment, trade and swap coin, right? I'm holding Ethereum and now I want to move from Ethereum and I want to buy Floki, for example. I need to learn how to do that. Some of that is actually in my book, right? Crypto Foundations for the Building of Multi-Generational Wealth. Check it out. There's a lot of stuff in there that give you the baseline of what you need to know to get involved in the crypto industry. What else is going on in the news? Bank of Israel's making a lot of noise right now. And that's because they're going to move forward with the digital shekel. That a CBDC, now there's a report out there that says that 98% of the countries out there are looking at doing CBDCs. And I'm telling you, a government understanding how CBDCs work and looking over your shoulder with every single purchase, because they can see where that what wallet that CBDC came from and where that CBDC went. So that's why I'd be paying attention to that. And then, of course, people are going to be sitting back and figuring out, well, I can transfer money like this and just hit different wallets, just use different wallets for my CBDCs and buy different things and do it. I can just see people trying ways to make it difficult for the government to be looking over their shoulder and have the government only know I made this much money and I owe you this many taxes. Stop there. That's really what I'm thinking. So it's going to be messy. And something else that I found remarkable, I saw an article that it looks like there is legislation that's being discussed in Switzerland that would have Switzerland's banks or have Switzerland's national bank hold Bitcoin in reserves next to gold. The Swiss. That is, I don't care what anybody says, that's flipping amazing. When you talk about adoption, that right there is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Drops my jaw. Anyway, you know what we should do? We should get into the numbers. So let's go do that. Move my notes out of the way. So in case you didn't know, there are actually a lot of companies reporting earnings this week. And if you're in the stock market, you should really be paying attention to who's got earnings this week. So companies like Verizon, Ameriprise Financial, I think you have Meta this week, Microsoft. You have a few of the big companies out there reporting their earnings this week. So be on top of it. Look to see who's going to be earning. Look to see where they are now. Look to see what the market is, and if it's got an upward momentum going on. So like for me, I'm looking at Microsoft and I'm saying Microsoft is probably going to go up because Azure's going nuts. I know this. I'm a Microsoft partner, so I use that. Our stuff is built on Azure, so I'm looking at Azure's mad popular. Fear and Greed Index right now, the crypto Fear and Greed Index is at 73. That's up from 72. And I'm expecting that it's probably going to go up again tomorrow when we look at it. DeFi Llama, good to see that we added about $6 billion since the last time I looked at it. We're at 115.664, which is not bad. If you're looking at Bitcoin, again, look at this right here. Remember my blue band right here between 57,686 and 63,714? Well, now we're above. We're at 65,910. So we're hovering around that like 66,000 mark when we had been way lower. I want you to stop and think about this. We were below 60. A couple of times last week, we were below $60,000 for Bitcoin. And now we're at 66. Just saying, there was money to be made. There was money to be made. So every time I tell you guys, dollar cost averaging is your friend. You can see how you bought it this number, and then you were able to buy at that number, and then it averages out, right? So if you remember the spreadsheet that I told you that I use, I have a workbook that will tell me every purchase I make. I punch in every purchase I make. It'll tell me how much money I've made for that specific purchase, and then it'll aggregate everything for each coin that I own and give me my, my blended, strike price. What number is it that it needs to be at for me to pull a profit across everything? If I just wanted to dump all of it, that's what I'm talking about. So, I have a couple of people that are asking me if I'm going to sell that, and I'm thinking about selling it, putting it out there as a product, but I have to clean it up a bit. It takes a lot of work. What else is there? When you look across the big board, you're looking at some nice numbers. Ethereum is up. Ethereum was below 3,000. Bitcoin again was below, 60,000. Just saying, those were opportunities to get in, and that's good money to make. That's really good money to make, right? So when I'm looking at, $2,800 for Ethereum, $2,900 for Ethereum, and now it's at $3,200. That's a greater than 10% jump, right? It's a greater than 10% jump. Same thing for Bitcoin. That's a greater than 10% jump when you look at that 59 and change that it was at. I'm just saying, if you pay attention on a daily basis, whenever you can, do some research, pay attention to the numbers, there are opportunities to make money even though we're not at all-time highs. Just saying, just give it a whirl. Give it a whirl. You know what you can do? You can actually pretend. You can create your own thing and pretend that you're buying crypto. Open up a spreadsheet. Say, this is how much I bought it for. This is how many I bought and the date that I bought it. And then just start tracking where it is. And you can say, well, I bought it at the right time. I thought it was going to go up. I thought it was going to go down. I thought it was going to do this and do that. You can do that. It's good practice. It's very good practice. That's how I got started years ago with my spreadsheet. I just wanted to know, I was playing around, just wanted to see, how does that work? How does that work? How does that work? And it worked out well. I started adding to it. So at first it was just a transaction. Then it was, transactions come with transaction fees. Let me add those in there. So I know how much I spent on the coin. I know how much I spent on the transaction, the overall price amount, and then it gives me my number for the actual number for the strike price once I've built in those transaction fees. And sometimes I got lucky. Sometimes I wanted to buy a particular coin, but how I went about buying it made me money on the way to my end state. So my transaction fees became negative against the actual asset that I was purchasing. Sometimes it works out, but you want to track that as well, because fees are fees. You can't just think about it as, oh, I'm just buying this coin. No, it's the coin and the cost of the coin and the cost of the fees. And back in the day, you were also paying to actually on-ramp your money, and you had to wait sometimes. So timing was a big deal. Anyway, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing. If you do, drop me a note. Be really thankful for it. And if you have criticisms, keep the criticisms to yourself. But if you have critiques help me get better, and I greatly appreciate those. Send those my way. A couple of people have been asking me for a few things, and I will say this. Join growmybag.tv. Join us on YouTube. Why? Because members get answers. If you're a member of the Grow My Bag community, I answer questions quickly. They get prioritized. I try to answer everybody, but members get prioritized answers. All right? Everybody, have a good one. Bye-bye.